Hello, my name is Dr. Faisal Laqsara, linguistics teacher at University des Frères Mentori Constantine I. We are here today to discuss the content of a linguistics course. So let's get started. Linguistics is the scientific study of the language. It deals with all aspects of human communication. It analyzes the sound of speech, how these sounds of speech are combined to form meaningful elements, and it examines the relationship between each one. This scientific study of the language can be done through macrolinguistics or microlinguistics. We speak about macrolinguistics when the study is done in relation to other disciplines. For example, if I study language and I relate it to society, in here I'm talking about sociolinguistics. And if I do it in relation to psychology, I'm talking about psycholinguistics, which means that both sociolinguistics and psycholinguistics are part of macrolinguistics. However, if I study the structure of the language system, and in here I'm talking about the sounds, the words, the sentences, and the meaning, so I'm dealing with micro. So the first type of microlinguistics is phonetics and phonology. So phonetics is the study of the speech sound and their description in a given language. However, phonology focuses on what the sound does and how it functions in a language. Grammar is studied in the word level and the sentence level. So morphology is the one dealing with words. It studies how the words are formed into meaningful elements and how they are built and the grammatical system. Syntax, on the other hand, studies the arrangement of words in sentences. It studies the combination of units such as words into phrases, clauses, and sentences. This figure demonstrates the branches and their subdivisions. Phonetics, as I have mentioned before, is the scientific study and description of speech sound of a given language. Phonetics is of three branches. We have articulatory phonetics, which deals with the description of the speech sound, how these sounds are produced, articulated. The acoustic phonetics deals with the physical properties of the produced sounds and how they are transmitted in. Auditory phonetics deals with the perception and the recognition of the sounds of the speech by human ear. It is concerned with the physical effects of the sounds upon the ear and the. This figure demonstrates the difference between the three branches and their main concern. The importance of learning phonetics and phonology is worth mentioning, especially for EFL learners. They should keep in mind that there isn't always a correspondence between spelling and pronunciation. For example, the sound F can be written in the letter F, a PH, or even a G. Concerning the English language, there are 44 sounds. These sounds are classified and described based on six main factors: the airstream, which is the source of the air and the direction of the airflow. The soft palate deals with the position of the phlegm, the shape of the lips, the presence and the absence of the vibration at the level of the vocal cords, the place of articulation and the manner of the As mentioned before, phonology deals with the function of the speech sound in a system of a given language. Then in phonology, we need to deal with phonemes, and a phoneme is by definition the smallest unit of sound in a language that distinguishes two words. When two forms which are similar except in one sound segment that is found exactly in the same position, we speak about minimal pairs. For example, pill and bill, pin and sin, sick and thick. When these forms are more than two, we speak about minimal set. For example, big, pig, rig, fig, dig, and wig. Allophones are different variants of the same phoneme. And in English, we have three phonemes that have allophones: the phoneme p, k, and t. For example, the English phoneme p is aspirated when it occurs at the beginning of the syllable, and it is inaspirated when it is preceded by the so sound. Another example of allophones is the dark L and the clear L. Both are allophones of the phoneme L. So when L occurs at the beginning, it is clear, but when it occurs at the end, it is dark. And it is worth mentioning that both the clear and the dark L occur in a complementary distribution, which means where clear L occurs, the dark does not. It happens that two forms having the same meaning have different pronunciations. This phenomena is studied and it is called free variation. When sounds are studied, scientists notice that some have shared properties and some have distinctive features. Means what are the characteristics that do have in common and what way they are different. The table demonstrates the shared and distinctive feature of some of the English consonants. The plus represents the presence of the property and the minus represents its absence. Morphology is a branch of grammar. It studies the word formation and the word structure, and it also deals with their classes. Dealing with words, we need to talk about morphemes. A morpheme is the smallest unit of language. It is part of the word that cannot be broken down further into smaller, meaningful parts. For example, in the word builder, we have build, the verb, and the er is a morpheme that shows the doer of the. A morpheme can be classified as being either a free morpheme or a bound morpheme. A free morpheme can stand by itself as an independent word. However, a bound morpheme has to be attached to another morpheme, such as affix. A morpheme can also be classified as being either lexical or functional. A lexical morpheme is a morpheme that has an independent dictionary meaning, and it includes any types of nouns, verbs, and adjectives. Grammatical morphemes are free morphemes that do not have any independent dictionary meaning, and they are mainly prepositions, articles, and conjunctions. Another classification of morphemes is derivational inflectional morphemes. A derivational morpheme is a bound morpheme that is used to create new words and make words of a different grammatical category. Inflectional morphemes are bound morphemes as well, but they are not used to create new words. They do not change the meaning of words, but they do rather indicate different aspects of grammatical function of the morphemes can be classified either of being a free morpheme or a bound morpheme. And a free morpheme can be either lexical or functional. However, a bound morpheme can be either derivational or inflectional. We spoke about the root when a morpheme is a free one, and it can be used to build up other words through the addition of affixes. Then, a stem, on the other hand, is the form of the word after adding the affix. For example, weaknesses is a stem, but the root is just weak, which is the. It is also important to mention that there are three types of affixes. We have a prefix. It is an affix that is added to the beginning of the word. A suffix is an affix that is added at the end of the word, and an infix is an affix that occurs within a word. And this case in here is not common in the English language. We find it in other. The last part of morphology and this chapter is the tree structure. The tree structure represents the details of words' internal organization. It is detailed morphological description of a given word. For example, the word kindness is divided into n and kindness is further divided into kind and ness. Thank you for your attention.